Today, I'll be sharing with you the best characters to aim for on any account. The characters mentioned here will either be extremely versatile or insanely strong with the free characters we have access to, such as rover variants or gifted characters. That's because my goal here is to give you the best value characters to pull for so you can spend your asteroid as responsibly as possible. This list is aimed at new and lower skill players, so if a character is really good but only specifically with quick swaps, such as the most underrated character in the game, Sheng Liao, they won't make this list. If you're upset about that, keep in mind, if you have the hands to make duo or trio DPS comps work, which should be clear are very effective for damage, you probably don't need this list. I also want this list to be free to play friendly, and that's why every character rated here will be rated at S0. Some characters such as Orteffy become unethically strong at sequences, but I'd imagine if you have sequences, you also don't really need this list. In a similar vein, I evaluated all these characters without their signatures, but it is worth noting that having signatures on these characters would not change the outcome of this list whatsoever. With that said, let's get started. The two most important characters to have on any account are going to be Shorekeeper and Verina. Why are they the two most important? That's because 90% of team comps of Wuthering Waves look like this. Main DPS, sub DPS buffer, healing buffer. An example of this would be Camellia, the main DPS, Sanhua, the sub DPS, and then Shorekeeper, the healing buffer. Or you're going to have a secondary type of team comp, which is DPS unit 1, DPS unit 2, and then a healing buffer at the end. So like a Sheng Liao Shorekeeper comp. Throughout every single one of these comps, no matter what style you want to play, healers are almost always going to be at the forefront of these comps, and Verina and Shorekeeper are just the best too. What makes them so strong is they both have access to Rejuvenating Glow, which gives an attack buff to your whole team. When running Rejuvenating Glow, you also either run Fallacy of No Return or Geo something Bell. To be honest, I don't remember his name, and you won't either. Shorekeeper and Verina also have two of the most broken outro skills in the game. They both buff your entire team's damage by a certain percent. Hopefully, I don't need to explain why that's good. Shorekeeper, being a limited character, obviously has more powerful buffs than Verina, as she gives 12.5 crit rate and 25 crit damage to characters on her team if she's built properly. For that reason, she's considered the best pull in the game. But unfortunately for us, we can't run two Shorekeepers, so Verina will be part of our second team for both Tower of Adversity and Wuthering Waves. Verina does have some individual advantages though. She's more easily attainable because she's a standard banner unit. She has an insanely fast rotation speed, going all the way down to nearly 2 seconds at S2, and being a bad version of Shorekeeper still makes you overpowered. But Rhinne, what about Baisha? What about her? Let's move on to sub DPS, and honestly, there's not too many good options here. Most of the sub DPS characters in the game currently are made to fill niches due to how their buffing and set effects work. So while they are very strong, they're just not versatile, and that makes them bad in terms of pull value. We do have two major exceptions here though. Sanhua is obtained literally for free just by playing the game for 5 days. That's pretty crazy considering she's straight up just one of the best characters in the game. She has so many upsides that I honestly don't even know where to start. She's a sword character, which is always a plus. 1/4 of the roster uses swords, and so that means you can always share your weapons between your other characters. That way your Emerald of Genesis and the signature weapons that you end up pulling for get big value there. Being a sub DPS character, she has access to Moonlit Clouds, which is a very versatile, also shareable set that has broken buffs. Both the set effect and the main slot echo will increase the damage of the incoming resonator that you end up using your outro skill into. This has huge synergy with their outro skill, which provides a 38% basic attack damage bonus to the character that you end up swapping into when your concerto energy is full. While that may sound like a niche buff, actually half the main DPS roster currently can utilize the basic attack damage bonus. Cartethia, Camellia, Phoebe, Brant, Encore, Havoc Rover, they all love this buff. But even if you have a main DPS who doesn't, Sanhua is still a good pick. That's because, much like Verina who we mentioned before, she has an insanely fast rotation time, which applies both her set effect and Heron to the next character. All you have to do is her insanely simple rotation. Intro into Sanhua, then use your ultimate, then use your skill, and then detonate those ice prisms. If you're S5, you're good to go to use your Heron and outro to the next character. If you're not, then you may have to use your heavy attack one more time. Orteffy is our other sub DPS go. He's another 4-star unit, so he's pretty easy to obtain as well. While he's not as versatile as Sanhua is, especially due to his longer rotation times and slightly more sweaty gameplay if you want to optimize him, he still makes for a great pickup. Phoebe, Jien, Zani, and even Donjin can make good use of his outro skill, which buffs heavy attack damage by 38%. So pretty similar to Sanhua, just for heavy attacks. Now obviously, that's not as many characters as Sanhua buffs, but she's the best for a reason. As more characters start getting added, more heavy attack damage bonus units will come in, and then Orteffy's buffs will start to shine even more. Up next, main DPS recommendations, of which I have 3. The first of which should be no surprise to anybody. Carlotta is easily the highest value DPS in the game, and that's because she seriously excels at everything. I was trying to think of even a single downside to list for her, and I couldn't think of one. There are only 2 Glacial main DPS units currently, one of which is a stupid rat. Because of this, Kuro hasn't been restricting the element in tower, giving Callout a major value for accounts trying to clear tower adversity. This means if recent trends continue, a well-built Carlotta will always pay dividends inside a tower. If that's not broken enough, it gets better. Shongliao, Brand, Havoc Rover, Spectral, Lumi, Chongli, Kartethia, Shorekeeper, and most forgettably, Baisha. Why'd I just name 90% of the roster? That's because she can pair with all those characters and clear content extremely easily. You're still not sold? Not only is Carlotta one of the top characters in terms of DPS, she is by far the easiest to pilot. The ability to pause bosses, universality of teammates, constant iframes, brain-dead rotations, and for some reason being allowed to hit bosses from an entire football field away, make her the most well-rounded character in the game. If you're not convinced to pull for her yet, I don't know what else to tell you. Phoebe is another great pickup. While she is more of a niche character due to being reliant on the negative status Spectral Frazzle, her best in-slot teammate is Spectral Rover, a character that you get completely for free. Not only does Spectral Rover make Phoebe an amazing main DPS, but Phoebe is also one of the few characters in the game with the option to completely swap her role in team comps, allowing her to be both a sub DPS or a main DPS depending on what you need. And as far as being a sub DPS goes, she's actually a part of the second strongest team comp in the game, the Spectral Frazzle core of Zani Phoebe Rover. You can run Phoebe in the standard Phoebe main DPS plus Spectral Rover sub DPS and healer team comps, but she's also weirdly versatile with her teammates. If you run Spectral Rover on Rejuvenating Glow, for example, and treat him as a healer, you can pair her with strong 4-stars such as Sonhwa or Orteffy like we mentioned earlier. This also gives you the option to use other DPS units if you want to be a little bit more sweaty. So things like Jinshi, Brant, or one of my personal favorites, Chongli, compete extremely well in terms of DPS against the best comps. And they're just fun to play. The only downside of pulling Phoebe? Rover, who is a very strong character, will be taken by her. But as long as you plan your account and character pulls around that, she's an amazing pickup. Worst case, you can always pull Zani, make your Phoebe a sub DPS, and then free up your Rover that way. The last DPS on this list is my favorite character, Camellia. Camellia is a character who's good in tower adversity, but absolutely amazing in Whimpering Waste. So pulling her means that you have both game modes covered. With Camellia being a sword character, you once again have easy access to building her. Emerald of Genesis is a great pickup here, but if you do opt for her signature, just know that many other sword characters such as Brant and Kartethia do like using her signature. So you have a lot of added value there too. Camellia does have a major downside, that being that her team comps are a lot more restrictive than both Phoebe and Carlotta who were mentioned on this list. She's mostly played in the standard main DPS, sub DPS, healer team compositions, and she really wants Sonhwa if you're opting for a low budget or free to play team, a trend you're probably noticing with every character so far. I told you, Sonhwa is broken. With that said, her prowess as the best character in Whimpering Waste and a great one in Tower of Adversity makes her one of the best acquisitions on any account. If I were making a new account, she'd be one of my first pickups personally. Make sure to check out my Echo Guide right here, and subscribe if this video ended up helping you. Take care.